Welcome into the Dead Arm Sports NBA show featuring Big Creed. This is a live show. We are here live on the old youtube.com. Ready to talk a little NBA ball. Crit. What you got going on in your life? I see you're still rocking the mullet.
Ooh, it's still there. I mean, its days are pretty numbered at this point. You know, it's kind of the summer of mullet. It is
Summer mullet.
It's the first day of September. Summer is pretty much gone, so I might have to cut it.
So what? You go what football season is the day that the mullet ends? I mean, what's the cutoff for you then?
I guess
this is all for you YouTube viewers. You got to get on YouTube, see this this beauty from up front.
I've had it for way longer than I thought it would. I'll say that. And it's been a ride, but yeah, I don't know. You know, it's just I've gotten a feeling it's coming to an end pretty soon. So we'll see.
I mean, I love it as a non-female. I think it's a good time.
Yeah.
Can't speak for any of any lucky ladies out there, but
mixed results. I've gotten some mixed opinions. So
I feel that seems about right.
Either you love it or you hate it.
All right, man. Well, hey, let me jump into the question of the day, and maybe your hair enhances this experience.
Ooh.
Best show, live show, or concert you've ever been to?
Oh, man.
We're not talking about anything at the rave. All right, we're gonna eliminate that. Anything revolving around the rave.
That's a lot of good ones. Back. I mean, I remember way back when I saw like Kendrick Lamar and Ab Soul before Kendrick was really big, so that was really cool. I'll have to say like Freddie Gibbs. I saw Freddie Gibbs a couple years back, and that was really, really cool. I'm not sure if you have.
No. So I want you to explain who that is. I don't even know who you're talking about.
Oh, he's a rap artist. I mean, yeah, man. Well, I don't know what more I can say. Just good rap artist. It was a really good show. He was funny.
Where did you see him?
This was at the rave too.
This was at the rave.
This was at the yeah. It was at the Eagles Ballroom, I believe.
Oh, that when they changed their name.
Right.
Did you see that they were hosting this month a Shrek themed rave?
No.
At the rave?
I
think it was September 25th. And I was like, damn, do I need to fly up for that shit?
I mean,
a Shrek themed rave? That sounds like a goddamn good time.
I'm kind of mad that I missed that, to be honest with you.
September 25th. I don't think you missed that.
Oh,
man.
It's September.
The 1st.
Oh, okay. I see what you mean.
May have to make my way up there.
I'll be here if you're coming, dude.
Or maybe it was August 25th. If it's August, then we're screwed.
Then okay.
But the fact that there's a Shrek themed rave, that's incredible.
We'll circle back. I mean, we'll circle back on it. We'll talk off camera and try to figure something out. Well, what about yourself?
I have to go back to my first concert that I saw. It was a free show that was sponsored or paid for by UW Milwaukee, where I went to school.
Nice.
Lupe Fiasco, man. He had, okay. I was all in on Lupe at the time. And so like the timing worked out with that. Plus what made it extra dope, he didn't like, there wasn't any like electronic beats behind, like over, there was no electronic beats. He had a full orchestra.
Oh,
he had a full band, guitar, bass, drums, multiple backup singers. Some of the backup singers that are featured in other songs were there. Skylar Grey, and I know there was one other one there. Feel bad for not remembering her name, but I mean, it was so cool. It was as live as possible. Just there were no. It wasn't just hearing electronic beats from behind. It was a live freaking whole orchestra.
Right.
And live singers and live bass, guitar, drums, all that shit. It was so cool. And And again, like I said, I was super into Lupe at that time too. Lupe Fiasco, my homie. If you are what you say you are. Not great, Bob. Yikes.
Yeah, I know that one.
Like, I mean, he played that shit. He played a bunch, some of his older stuff, some of his newer stuff. He really hit the full gambit of everything that I knew. And that was really cool. But I got to give a shout out. I was there for 4 years at UW Milwaukee, and they do a free concert for their students every year, which that alone is badass. But that first one, my freshman year, the Lupe concert, that's probably the best show I've ever been to. So shout out to the alma mater. Not going to give any additional donations to you for it, but I already gave you a couple tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, you gave them enough. As did I.
Yeah.
So
damn Skippy. Well, hey, let's jump into the world of the NBA, and we got some breaking news on the show. Donovan Mitchell was just traded to the Cavs. Crit, I know you've got the details in this, something that really feel like it kind of came out of the blue. It felt like it was just a known destination that Donovan Mitchell was going to be going to the Knicks. But Crit, why don't you dive into the details of this trade to Cleveland, and then give me kind of your initial thoughts, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, man, like you said, this did kind of come out of nowhere. I mean, I was just scrolling through my phone and saw it, and I was like, what? I mean, I know a while back it had, like, Cleveland had kind of been a dark horse team that was mentioned, but I just didn't think that they would actually pull the trigger and get it done. But
pull the fucking trigger, boy.
But yeah, I mean, here it is. So they gave up, let's see, it's 3 unprotected first round picks and 2 pick swaps. So it's 5 first round picks in total. Lauri Markkanen, Colin Sexton in a sign and trade. So I just saw he's been signed to a 4-year, $72 million extension with Utah. So that's a big payday for him. And Cleveland's first round pick from this draft, Ochai Agbaji from Kansas, I believe. So he was the number 14th overall pick. So you get a lottery pick, you get Sexton, good player coming off an injury, and you get a still youngish player in Lauri Markkanen plus 5 first round picks. So quite the haul for Utah.
I'm more interested in kind of your thoughts. So Utah at this point, obviously, they're just it's what Danny Ainge did with the Celtics. He collected as many picks as he possibly could. He, one of the first trades that he made two big trades. The one with the Celtics, where he sent, when he was still the Celtics GM, sending Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett to the Nets for a shitload of picks.
Highway robbery. That turned into one of those picks turned into Jason Tatum. The other trade that he made was sending away Gerald Wallace to Portland for a shit ton of picks, and that turned into Jaylen Brown. So Danny Ainge has made out well in these trades. Getting Jason Tatum, who is a first-team All-NBA player, and Jaylen Brown, who is probably due for a max extension, whether it's with the Celtics or he takes a 1-year deal and cashes in 2 years from now when the CBA is renegotiated. So Danny Ainge tends to win these trades, but we won't know how these trades with the T-Wolves, with all those picks, with Cleveland for all those picks, we won't know how that works out for a while. So I'm more interested in kind of, what do you think on the Cleveland side, the Cavs side? Where do they now sit in the East? I mean, we saw Darius Strickland. He just got Darius Strickland. I fucking did it again. Darius Garland. What's wrong with shout out Darius Strickland again, 2 weeks in a row.
Ding. Darius Garland and Evan Mobley. Those two leading that team. And Markkanen was a big piece to that team, but really the core of that team is kind of revolves around Evan Mobley and Darius Garland.
Garland / Strickland, yeah.
/Strickland. What do you think that, I mean, at this point, adding Donovan Mitchell, obvious, really good player, can't say top 10, top 15, maybe borderline top 20, I'd say overall player in the NBA. What do you think this does for the Cavs? I mean, just in terms of trajectory this season and going into the future, because I'd assume also coming with this trade would be a max extension.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, clearly this helps Utah or Cleveland, excuse me. So you can't just get a player of Donovan Mitchell's caliber and expect it not to do anything but help you. I mean, they did give up quite a bit, mainly just draft capital, but Markkanen was a decent player for them last year. Was kind of pretty big with a lot of their defensive lineups that they had. They ran like basically 3 6'10" and above guys in the lineup. I mean, Markkanen was playing small forward most of the year, which is kind of a weird fit at first.
Insane.
But it was really interesting defensively because it just made, and he could shoot and he could stretch the floor. So that they're going to have to replace a guy in the wing who, at the moment, it's probably like a Karis LeVert or an Isaac Okoro, but I forgot
they got LeVert too.
I could maybe see another trade coming with, bringing in another 3-and-D sort of wing to kind of solidify that rotation. But I mean, right off the bat, clearly what Cleveland is banking on is the offensive potential of that backcourt, because defensively a backcourt of Mitchell and Garland is pretty horrendous. So you're going to have to rely a lot on Evan Mobley getting better as an offensive player. I mean, he already showed what he could do on the defensive side of the ball.
Is that horrendous? That's a little tough.
I would say. I mean, we saw what his defense is looking like in the playoffs.
Oh, defense. Did you say just defensively?
Defensively.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. No, defensively, I think. I mean, maybe that's still a little bit harsh, but it's bottom tier.
No, that's fair.
They're both fair. Small. They're small guards. You basically have like two guys that are the size of point guards that are going to be at the 1 and the 2.
Well, Mitchell right now, I mean, last season also, Mitchell didn't even try on defense.
I mean, yeah, you could say.
I mean, straight up, and I think Mitchell. See, this is the thing with defense. Like, sorry, I'm not trying to cut you off here, Crit, but
no, you're good.
Defensively, almost everybody in the NBA can play defense. They're all athletic enough to do it. It's sincere. Like, I mean, or at least perimeter defense. Not everybody can defend the basket the way that like prime Dwight Howard could. Mm-hmm. But everybody on the perimeter can play hard, good perimeter defense. Everybody's athletic, or I should say most players are. James Harden decides not to play defense. He's okay, granted, he's not at this point that athletic, but Donovan Mitchell is athletic enough to play some very, very premier defense.
Right.
Darius Garland is athletic enough to play some premier defense. So if they got the right, I think if they get the right coaching staff in there, or at least a different sense of like pressure from their current coaching staff, that, dude, we need you guys to be like lockdown defenders out here. Mm-hmm. If not, they're going to continue on with their ways. But I think both those guys, given their athleticism, they just need to give some goddamn effort, and they can be a good defensive perimeter team.
Right. I mean, I guess I don't fully disagree with that. I think like effort is clearly a huge part of defense. I mean, those two are smaller guards, so they're always going to struggle against bigger players. But the effort, I mean, if you're putting in the effort like that goes a long way. So I guess that remains to be seen, kind of what they're going to look like.
Yeah, Donovan Mitchell is 6'1".
Right. And then
that's a problem. That's true.
Even when Utah was going, the last few years going on some good runs, like he was clearly the worst defensive player in their starting five.
That's the same height as Trae Young, Jalen Brunson.
And
which I will be fully honest,
defenders.
I did not realize. I thought he was maybe like closer to 6'4", 6'5".
That's what I was saying. I mean, they're 2 point guard. I mean, and Garland, I guess I don't have his height in front of me here, but he can't be much taller. Let's see. Yeah, 6'1", same thing. So yeah, Darius Strickland here, 6'1". So they're both 6'1s. You're gonna have a 6'1 starting 1 and 2. So that's a downgrade.
That's a good point.
I mean, but offensively, it's gonna be pretty disgusting. I mean, Garland obviously exploded last year, was an all-star. 21 points per game, 8.6 assists. He shot well from 3, 38%. Like those are some really good numbers. And he's super young. I mean, he is 21, I believe, 22. He's 22. So like he still has, like, the sky's the limit for him. Donovan Mitchell is still pretty young. It seems like he's been in the league so long, but he's only 25. Evan Mobley is really young. Jared Allen is young too. So like, I think the defensive prowess of Allen and Mobley is enough for them to feel comfortable, at least enough, that those two can anchor their defense, and that even if Garland and Mitchell were to get beat, you still have like the Twin Towers basically sitting back there. That, it's kind of like what Milwaukee's been doing the last couple of years with Brook Lopez and Giannis. Like, even if one of your guards gets beat, you still have to go over, 2 almost 7-footers basically. So I think
that really truly covers up Middleton's defensive weaknesses.
Right.
Is that, okay, well, shoot, if I end up letting this guy go, I know I got Brook right behind me.
Exactly.
So you just swat. And if the guy ends up making an 18-footer, it is what it is.
You have to live with it. So it's like, if they can do enough.
NBA players are going to make shots.
Right. If those two can do enough on the perimeter and just hope that if they get beat, just kind of flush them right into an Allen or a Mobley, I think that could work. And then obviously offensively, it's going to be just crazy. You got two guys that Mitchell and Garland can both handle the ball at an elite level. Garland showed, like I said, 8.2 assists per game. That's really good. And I think he can get even better. Mitchell's a really, I think, underrated passer. I don't think the assist numbers are always there, but he showed really good vision in his time in Utah. And obviously they're both shot makers too, and shot creators. So I think offensively, the Cavs could be really, really good. So we'll see if they go with an even smaller lineup, like if they run LeVert at the 3 or Okoro at the 3, which those two, in my opinion, are both more shooting guards. But if you throw like an Isaac Okoro in there, you can bolster the defense a little bit more, but the offense doesn't get any better. Or you can just go all out offense and shooting with Garland, Mitchell, LeVert, 1, 2, 3. So we'll see what they do, or if another trade is inbound for another wing. I think that would be a good idea. But we'll see. Right away, I think I would give it, if I had to grade it, I would give this like a B+ right now for
That's
Cleveland, because they gave up a lot. They gave up a ton to get.
But this is what you have to give up to get, you know? So look at what the Bucks gave up for Holiday,
and it worked out.
And
we'll see if
Bucks ended up getting a title. So it's like,
right.
Okay, we gave up the Bucks ended up giving up a shitload of
early
first round picks that,
yeah,
they're going to be at the end of the first round, but we got ourselves a title out of that. And that's what we got, our first title, man. I was fucking crying because we got a title. I don't really give a shit. The Bucks could be dog shit for the next 20 years, but I was able to, as a fan, I was able to experience a title. I don't really give a fuck about the next 2 decades. Of course, I'm going to be rooting for them, but if they go into a tank, I'm going to, because they gave up all their draft picks, I'm cool because I got to experience a title.
Right.
My next, so I want to just a little quick nugget about Donovan Mitchell. The Lakers scouting staff fell 100% in love with Donovan Mitchell back in that draft when they ended up taking Lonzo Ball.
Mm-hmm.
And Magic Johnson was still running that team. If they would have listened to that scout team, they would have ended up taking Donovan Mitchell at number 2 instead of Lonzo Ball. Like,
I mean,
that could have changed that. Like the Lakers could be looking at a completely different team right now.
Right.
If they had made that move. But no, I mean, ultimately, like in terms of the Eastern Conference, I still, even with this move, you got to put the Bucks, you got to put the Celtics, you got to put.
I'd put the Sixers above them.
Sixers
still.
ahead of them. I mean,
Probably
who knows what's going on with the Nets? Yeah, you got the Heat. So the Cavs then.
Yeah. Like if the Nets get everything together,
I mean,
the
Cavs made that, or the Cavs were up there in the first or top half of the East last season, but
I mean, they had a lot of injuries kind of down the stretch, and then they fell into the play-in tournament, and just it was unfortunate. But yeah, I mean, I think, I mean, if I had to rank the East, it's kind of tough, but yeah, I would put obviously Milwaukee.
But does this put the Cavs into the top half of the East?
I wouldn't say.
My answer is probably it doesn't.
I think like at best it would be like 5th seed for me. I think that would be that's
probably
like
about right.
Best case scenario, because they're still young. I mean, you're still relying a lot on Darius Garland. He's a young leader. We don't know like what he's going to look like when the lights are the brightest in the playoffs. I mean, he was in the play-in tournament, but that's a little bit different than like a full 7-game series in the playoffs. You got Evan Mobley, who showed, I mean, just immense potential as a rookie, but he's still.
I love Evan Mobley. I think Mobley is
in a redraft. I would take him number 1.
Chris Bosh 2.0. Right. That's literally what I see out of Evan Mobley.
In a redraft, I mean, it'd be hard for me to pass up on him for number 1 overall. It's like he was that impressive last year, and like Scotty Barnes was really good too. I'm not throwing hate on him for winning Rookie of the Year. He was super impressive, but Scotty I think Mobley has
super legit.
Yeah.
So then we got to throw the Raptors in there too. At this point, honestly, the East is probably stronger than the West, which.
Yeah, it's tough
to say that often. I mean,
the West is so deep too, though. It's like you had teams like the Pelicans like fighting to get in it last year.
Maybe it's more balanced than it has been in previous years.
I'd agree with that. Yeah, I think it's very balanced now, and like the last couple of years, it seems like the East has just been super top heavy with teams like Miami and the Bucks, and Boston really hadn't come into its own yet. Sixers are always kind of hanging on the cusp, but they never did anything. So now I think it's going to be a really interesting race.
So I think not just you and I, but kind of the entire NBA world assumed that Donovan Mitchell was going to be a Knick, given that, he had grown up in New York, and that was, it seemed like
that's all that was getting.
That was going to be his final destination. Right. He wiped his IG of anything Jazz before this trade was ever announced, and everything was pointing Knicks, and then of course this trade goes down. So now let's dive into the Knicks giving RJ Barrett that 4-year, $120 million contract that they did this past week. Did the Knicks know something? Did they know, we're not getting Mitchell? Or did they do that to try to make it a little bit more enticing for Mitchell to come, knowing that he'd have a running mate? I mean, I guess it's a win regardless, getting RJ Barrett locked up for the next 4 years, because he's a very good player, developing, I think worth the money, but
ton of potential.
But do you what do you think about, I guess, for the Knicks? Like, is this a move worth making? How do you think that they can succeed in the future? Going, really, this is the all lefty squad with Jalen Brunson, RJ Barrett, Julius Randle, all lefties.
I didn't realize that. Yeah.
Well, so you got the all lefty squad on the Knicks.
Yeah.
I mean, are you into the Knicks' future with this deal? What are your, I guess, just get going.
So first off, you gotta love it. Like, you gotta love it that Knicks fans just can't get any relief. It's just, I mean, obviously signing RJ is a win for them, but it just seems like every big storyline that's happened over the last 4 or 5 seasons, they just fall flat on their face. It's just hilarious. It's like, first Kyrie Irving and KD are going to go there. Nope. They go to New York, but not to the Knicks. Like, then they were going to win the lottery and get Zion. It's like, nope, you got third and you got RJ. And now this, I mean, they won, the Jalen Brunson free, whatever you want to call it, sweepstakes and free agency.
Sweepstakes.
So, right. You're a winner. Right. So I'm not super enticed by their future. I mean, I think RJ is a really good player, but I'm not a super believer in Jalen Brunson getting any better than he showed last year. I mean, I think he was really good for Dallas, but like, let's not get it twisted. I mean, Luka is just that dude. So Luka carried that team. And I think I could have been playing next to Luka and probably looked good. He was that good.
Okay, well, let's not get carried away.
Okay, maybe not. I'd be riding the pine. Yeah, let's not get it twisted. I'd be riding the pine. But
I'm fucking with you. But I get your point, and
right.
the point that ultimately that needs to be made is Jalen Brunson is going from a backcourt sidekick,
right,
and ultimately
superstar,
a 3.
Yeah.
For the Mavs, now to being kind of like a quasi 1. Mm-hmm. Him and RJ Barrett are kind of the 1A, 1B with that Knicks offense.
And then you just got,
and Julius Randle is going to be like bitching, and he'll be like, knows? Well, like it's a team that really the Knicks have no identity.
Right.
It's 3 guys that fall as okay. Like, if you were to grade power forwards, Julius Randle, what do you give him? From an A through F? I probably give him a B.
Yeah, maybe a B, maybe like a C plus. Like, I think he peaked super hard in that contract year, and like, he looked like, you're like, whoa, maybe he's finally going to realize his potential and shoot up to be one of the best power forwards in the league, at least offensively. But
RJ Barrett, a B, or a B, high C, or a B.
I'd give RJ a B because I think his potential is still really high. I think, yeah.
Jalen Brunson, C. High C or a B.
C, definitely.
So there you go. So you've got all your money tied up to, and then you got maximum of a B.
Right.
And like, it's basically a range of C to B. That's where all your money is. That's where $100 million is tied up between RJ Barrett's new now $30 million, Jalen Brunson just over $30 million, and Julius Randle over $30 million. That's $100 million of your cap that's tied to maximum B level players. So the Knicks, and you can have those 3 B level players but to win a title, combine those 3 B level players with an A. Then you have a title team. To be sitting there with 3 B level players as that's your foundation, now you're kind of sitting again, as the Knicks have been since Melo got there a decade and a half ago. You're sitting there in just kind of no man's land.
You're just sitting there in limbo.
Just completely in limbo.
Yeah.
If the Knicks just constantly think we're gonna land this hot superstar. That was their entire business model.
Yeah. Doesn't usually happen.
About trying to get LeBron, trying to get Dwayne Wade, trying to get Chris Bosh. They all went to one team.
Yeah.
The Knicks got none of them. they've been trying to make their way back to relevance since then. They built their entire team around trying to get those guys, and they got none of them. Right. And now this is literally more than a decade later, and they're still trying to recover from this. The Knicks are a fucking joke. That ownership, James Dolan needs to just like sell this team. Yeah. He is doing an incredible disservice to the city of NYC by owning this team and not hiring the right people, not putting the correct resources in when it comes to draft, when it comes to trade potential, when it comes to like you need to put the best people in charge, and shit happens. It's not a coincidence that the most high-end companies in the world are run by the most high-end people. They're not just run by the owner. When the owner has too much power, shit goes off the fan. That's the wrong phrase. Shit hits the fan. And that's what's happening with the Knicks now. They have an owner who doesn't want to give up any power and wants to have too much say in everything. And that's why the Knicks haven't gotten anywhere. They're not going to get anywhere until he gives up any sort of power. I'm sure that the Jazz and Knicks could have gotten a Donovan Mitchell deal done. Mm-hmm. I'm also thinking Jim Dolan, the owner, stepped in and said, wait, does that mean I have to go into the luxury tax? Hey, by the way, newsflash. The Warriors have been in the salary in the tax brackets, paying those tax fees for being over the cap limit
long time
for like 6 years, and they've won like 4 titles. So pick and choose what you want to do here, buddy. But good God, the Knicks need to do something to get back into relevance, and I really think it has to start with Jim Dolan basically selling that team, because the Knicks should not be this irrelevant for this long. They haven't been relevant since Patrick Ewing won his title back in the 80s. These are the Knicks, man. They're supposed to be equal to like the Celtics, equal to the Lakers. And they've just been an absolute train wreck for so damn long. And now they miss out on another star. Yep. Donovan Mitchell, that could have been just the next guy to,
and he's a New York
propel
kid,
them to
something. He wanted to go there. Like, he actually wanted to go there. I don't think a lot of
and he wanted to go there.
I don't think a lot of high-level players want to go there because the organization is so dysfunctional. Even though it's one of the best markets in the country, the organization and the management is just a train wreck. So I don't think a lot of players actually want to go there. It's like Brunson went there because his dad is an assistant coach there. And it's like Donovan wanted to go there because he's from there. But like, other than that, they haven't had a lot of options. So yeah, I agree with you. And
dude, when Melo went there, he went to University of Syracuse. He's from New York. Right. He's a New York kid. That's why Melo wanted to go there.
It was like a perfect pairing. So I don't know. Like, I think they could have got it done. It's like, why do you make that trade on draft night to acquire, 3 future first round picks if you weren't, like, they were clearly stockpiling assets to do something and they didn't do anything. So it's like,
and so they're now sitting on those 3 picks
with no high lottery pick, with no high lottery pick player in this draft to show for it. And now it's like you get 3 future protected picks that aren't going to be good as the number 11 pick, I believe, is the one they traded. And it's like, what are we doing? If you're not willing to give up, 5-6 first round picks that you've stockpiled for a guy like Donovan Mitchell, then what are we doing? Like, I don't know what we're doing. I would hate to be a fan of that organization right now. I mean, it's so infuriating. It's so infuriating.
John K puts in comments on our YouTube channel. Thank you for chiming in. Says,
thank you, John.
Front office is crap for the Knicks. John,
we agree.
You pretty much summed it up. We could have saved ourselves about 20 minutes if we would have just said that. So
that was the best take so far.
Solid summation in what we're saying.
Maybe we'll bring you on one day, John. You need to come on, make a guest appearance.
The old Uncle K at this
Uncle
point
J.
now, Uncle John. Well, let me go to the other side of the good old US of A, and let me jump into some LA Lakers news.
Okay.
We got word over the week that Patrick Beverley was traded to the Lakers. Now, if you know anything about, which Crit, I know you do, there is some historically large beef between Patrick Beverley and Russell Westbrook. Now, Russ Westbrook is still on the Lakers squad.
Yeah, for now.
We also heard for now.
Yeah.
I also read something that Darvin Ham is going to, and this may be a temporary thing, but he's going to try to figure out a way to try to play both those players at the same time.
Yeah,
are you kidding me?
We'll see how that works.
If like, I pray that that's the plan on paper, and that he's just, or sorry, I should say, I pray that that's just what he's saying to the media. I also pray that that's not the plan on paper, because Russ, Pat Bev on the same court, offensive major limitations. Yeah. Like, yes, Pat Bev can hit the occasional three where Russ can't. I mean, you might as well see if he can throw a football into the freaking hoop. Right. Like, that's how bad he is at shooting.
Right. I mean, like Pat Bev, I mean, I'm looking, he's a career 37% shooter from three. That's, slightly above average. And last year he dipped down to 34%. That's not great. Like, I don't know. I don't think that would be, if I was the coach, which certainly I am not an NBA coach, but I don't think that would be the move to run those two out there together. One of them's going to have to run the back unit, and you're going to have to decide if you want the defensive tenacity of a guy like Patrick Beverley out there with LeBron in the starting unit to kind of invigorate the guys around him. I mean, he's like, that's his main calling card. The stats don't tell you everything about the value of a guy like Patrick Beverley. His defensive intangibles and his mindset are infectious. And I think every team he's been on, he's helped the people around him become better defensively. And so I don't know. I think it was a good move for them.
That's why I'm into that trade.
Right.
But that's why I hate the idea of pairing both Pat and
at the same time
Russ Westbrook in the same court, because who's at that point the leader of the team? Yeah, ultimately
a lot of
LeBron
ego,
is
a lot of ego out there at one time, like that's just too much. I mean, one of them's going to have to get regulated to the bench, and who that is, I don't know. I mean, if I was the coach, I think I would start Patrick Beverley and let Russ just be Russ off the bench.
Could you run a Russ, Pat Beverley, LeBron, AD, whoever
Thomas
the center
Bryant,
is?
I believe it's Thomas Bryant at center for them.
Could you run that squad out there?
Oh,
you're still lacking massive shooting.
Right. You can run it out there. I don't know if it's, I don't know. Shooting is going to be a problem. Shooting is going to be a problem with in that lineup. If LeBron is your best shooter, that's terrible. I mean, LeBron has increased his 3-point percentage over, like he's been a better shooter over the last couple seasons, but he wasn't by any means a fantastic shooter last year. So
okay, so this brings me then to my next question, and these are some trade rumors that have kind of resurfaced regarding Russ Westbrook. I think he's good as gone. He better be good as gone.
He should be.
But these rumors of Buddy Hield and Miles Turner for Russell Westbrook and the Draft 2027 and 2029 first round picks have resurfaced. Are you I think that feels like it has to be a no-brainer at this point for LA.
If that's on the table, I would do that 100% of the time. Like, I realize that those picks are way in the future. Maybe you can throw some like protections on them to kind of not completely screw yourself over as an organization at that point. But because those could be valuable. I mean, you think of a 2027 and 2029 Lakers squad. What does that look like at that point? LeBron, almost certainly he should not be in the league at that point because he's going to be in a damn retirement home basically at that point. Like AD, who knows if he's going to even last till then. I mean, who knows if he's going to be on the Lakers by then. So like that team could look really, really bad in 2027 and 2029. So those picks could be valuable, but I would do that trade 100% of the time because that fixes all of their holes right now. They need shooting, and specifically if they could get a shooting and defense from the 5 position, that's a no-brainer. Like you said, I would do that 100% of the time. Be a perfect fit. Buddy Hield would be amazing. Just getting kicks out from LeBron. Miles Turner can stretch the floor. He's a great rim protector. It would help on the defense and the offense. I mean, I think that would be an amazing trade. And you get rid of Westbrook, who seems like at this point he is a locker room cancer. It would be a win-win, I think, for both sides. Indiana would get some amazing potential assets down the road for their rebuild that's clearly going to last quite a while. And then they get rid of these players that are basically just rotting on their roster. I mean, like, what use is Buddy Hield to the Pacers this year? They're not winning any games. Like, Miles Turner still young-ish, and I think could still be a part of it, but like they're going to be rebuilding for a while. So you might as well try to get some value for Turner now.
Well, and I think that, like you said, for LA, like if you can run out an LA starting lineup of AD, Turner, LeBron, Hield, Pat Bev,
that's good.
That is way, way better than whatever the hell they have now.
Right. And I'd
much rather take that balance of having a sweet shooter in Hield and a pretty solid rim protector, and also Miles Turner can hit corner threes.
Shooter. Right.
The other thing too, like Miles Turner, AD, those two dudes protecting the basket defensively. Yeah. That's legit. Like that's Miles elite. Turner is a interior block monster.
I mean, he's led the league in blocks before. I mean, he's an elite rim protector. I really truly believe that. He's dealt with some injuries and stuff. I don't think he gets the total recognition that he deserves on the defensive side of the ball, but he's an elite rim protector and shot blocker. And then AD is clearly, I mean, he's shown that he's an elite defensive player when he's on the court. I mean, okay. Yeah. To go back to exactly that word, when he's on the court. Street close Davis.
If he gets hurt, Miles Turner can just jump straight into that role.
Right.
They play a very, very similar position.
And then they have some, okay. I mean, you'd have a guy like a Thomas Bryant who they signed on a minimum deal. He has some potential. He's coming back from injury. We'll see what he looks like, but like he shouldn't be your starter. I mean, he'd be okay coming off the bench. But yeah, I agree. So like if AD gets hurt, and when at this point when he gets hurt, I think Miles could more easily slide into that power forward spot, and then they could try to figure out something at center.
Love it. Okay, well, that's going to wrap it up for us here on the NBA Sports Show featuring Crit, Dead Arm Sports. Oh, look at that switch from Big K.
Beautiful. The follow through.
Can you actually like make a three?
I mean,
hey,
you've seen it. You've seen it firsthand.
It takes a lot of.
I've busted your chops.
I mean, it takes a few tries, but you can do it. Hey, okay. Before we close this out, we do have a write-in question from YouTube Live. Again, Jonathan K. And he says, "Why is Chris so beautiful?"
Ooh, that's a tough one to answer. That should have been a question of the day. That's a real stumper. I mean, why? Oh man, what's not to like? I mean, you got the Bucks hat. You got a little stubble here. You got the mullet. I mean, I don't know. It's a perfect package. I mean, this doesn't just happen overnight. This takes a lot of work.
Have you experimented with makeup?
I have not. No.
Have you experimented with Botox?
No.
So this is all natural.
This is natural. This is natural. Yeah.
Look at
I get asked that question a lot. Yeah. Thank
you,
Jonathan
K. I mean, guy.
Thank you for your continued support out there, young man, and I hope that you are doing well.
Mr. K, appreciate that. No Donovan Mitchell for you, but hey, we at least have the content for you to appreciate. Right. We're gonna you can hit us up on you can find our Dead Arm Sports page on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Google Pods. You can also find us on our social media profiles, just at Dead Arm Sports on Instagram and Twitter. Just search Dead Arm Sports to find us on Facebook. You can also find us on our YouTube channel. Make sure to hit subscribe. Just search Dead Arm Sports. Should be the first thing that pops up at the top of your search bar.
Hit the bell.
Ding.
Bell notification. There we go.
Subscribe, hit the bell, and you'll be able to get all of our content live. Once anything is released, once we go live, you'll get a notification. So that's a major turn on for all of you viewers, all of you listeners. Big Crit, it has been an absolute pleasure this week, and I can't wait to do it again.
Yeah, man, it's been fun, man. We'll have to get together next week and do it all over again.
See you in the promised land.